This video has been sponsored by Blood Message, which at first I read as Blood Massage. That would have been a very different video. But no, this is Blood Message, which I was actually able to play at this year's Summer Game Fest. Tucked away in the secret exclusive nugget right here was an Alex, hands-on playing Blood Message. First of all though, let's get the abyssal elephant out of the room. Blood Message is not a Souls-like. This team is dedicated to make the most visceral experience they can by focusing on immersive, narrative-driven gameplay with realistic cinematic combat, all running in Unreal Engine 5. The seamless way the actions flow into each other, then into enemies' dynamic actions, creates a noticeable step up in animation quality than what the industry has seen before in the action-adventure genre. This is not just scripted trailer shenanigans making it all look this fluid. This is hands on a controller how the game looks to play, which was shocking to get to experience when you're in control. To go deeper in on some of the more granular details though, here's just a few of the things that really stood out the most to me during my play session of Blood Message. The ways that your character would seamlessly interact with the environments was a big standout element during that gameplay session. Like during this fight, this attack string changed the final hit into a kick to send this guy over the crate he was near. Then vaulting the character over that transitioned straight into a vaulting kick animation to the face. Then dynamically integrating that table he was now near with a punch slam into it, skidding his cheeks through an innocent bowl of food. This fight could have played out in any direction 360 degrees around us. That's just what happened to happen. That led directly into this next sequence, getting knocked down into a block, using a prompt to crack a nearby pot over the dude's head to break out, right into a kick into shelving, killing more pottery. These dynamic environmental interactions seem to be all over the place, and I would love to see the behind-the-scenes inner working skeleton of how the devs managed to create this many animation variables that all flow together like water. There's other nice attentions to detail seen in individual attack animations that are so subtly realistic they could just fly by unnoticed. Like here, you can see this enemy off to the side of the screen move his arm to shield his eyes from the blood spatter of his buddy flinging off the edge of your blade. Some of your light and heavy attack animations will change how your character holds the sword in relation to the previous action. Like here, changing the combo to end with a heavy attack, the character briefly lets go of the sword to switch around his grip in the air, changing to use the pommel to bash the shield. Instead of a simplistic shield smash animation, here you can see the main character arc and wedge his sword in between the guy's arm and the shield's handle, using that leverage to rip the shield out of his hands, forcing him to continue the fight without it. In the stealth section, maybe you should have gone around to the left to avoid those birds, but because of them, notice here how the enemy starts turning, only gets 90% turned before the takedown input is hit, seamlessly using the fact that he's now sideways to us to conk him in his exposed throat. You'll see completely different takedown animations depending on which way the target is facing and depending on what they're standing near. Some enemies will get a little grabby with you, holding you in place and even repositioning you to face your exposed side towards one of their buddies, working together to take you out. If you break free in time, this can also be used to your advantage, slamming people into each other with a throw. You can also kind of grab onto enemies in a similar way, like here, sticking your sword into the guy's neck to hold him in place, then using an input window to turn him to meet shield an incoming swing, throwing his very now dead body at his friend that casually brushes him off to the side. Another important detail in Blood Message that you may have already noticed, there's none of this style of HUD junk all over the screen, displaying video gamey kind of stuff, which can create a barrier between the immersion of the player and the world. So no traditional overlay HUD whatsoever in Blood Message. This is how the gameplay looks in action, and only sometimes will you ever see a subtle button prompt or indicator ever show up on the screen. Another ambitious thing about this 20-ish minute gameplay sequence I got to play, the camera never made a single hard cut of the scene. The camera dynamically moves around the world to make controlled gameplay and scripted scenes bounce back and forth with no separation between the two. Even scrubbing all around this footage in the video editor to double check, I was making sure, and no, the camera never made a single cut throughout all of this. It just moved to highlight what was needed in that moment. Impressive. Although this combat system does have a traditional dodge evade, it seems like it puts a greater emphasis on blocking and parrying. Instead of a block simply canceling the enemy's incoming attack animation, the block will adjust accordingly to absorb their swing, countering the actual blade, creating near filmic choreography throughout these duels. Block too many attacks or a thick, heavy swing and you can get forced down into a staggered guard. This can momentarily lock you in place until you break free, and can even transition into blocking multiple blades at once if enemies try to pile on. Situations like this is where your partner can come into play. You don't always have an ally with you at all times, but if you do have one tagging along with you, they can help a lot throughout a fight. Like here, my ally actually comes over and grabs this dude off of me, holding him nicely in place for an easy retaliation. Your allies can help with crowd control, save you from a grapple, or expose enemies and help you out. Throughout this gameplay session, there seemed to be a pretty even mix of combat encounters, parkour-focused segments, and methodical stealth areas. During stealth, I like the fact that you just use this gnarly utility hammer for takedowns. It's more visceral and tangible feeling than just your classic clean blade-style takedowns we've seen for years. If you work your way up to a higher elevation, there are air takedowns in this too, along with environmental traps you can lure enemies into. Like here, the guards are investigating a body I left behind that just so happens to be perfectly under this heavy stack tied on by a rope. One simple diversion pretty much handled this entire situation. And now one of the last things I want to highlight today is likely the one that YouTube will like the least, but I appreciate that Blood Message is not shying away from the gore. Almost every battle has something shockingly, epically, awesomely graphic, like swords straight through heads and necks, eyeballs poked and gouged out, tendons tactically severed, and what seems like a near endless amount of cinematic carnage. If you're an action fan, this is a blood-pumping spectacle of a game. Instead of RPG over-the-top abilities being spammed, the team's focus on grounded, realistic combat creates something that looks and plays unlike most anything else out there. So yes, Blood Message is a real game, and when I met with the team at Summer Game Fest, they kind of just confidently handed me the controller, let me go completely uninterrupted, having the gameplay purely speak for itself. I would say if you're a bit fatigued by open world games and want a more narrative-driven, visceral experience that constantly holds your attention and doesn't let go, this should be at the top of your watch list. The narrative of Blood Message is set in the historic late Tang Dynasty across the regions of East and Central Asia. The story seems to focus on a nameless messenger and his son as they try to survive a dangerous journey to deliver the Blood Message, an important letter containing vital information on the fate of their homeland. That's currently about all I know at this point in time, but I suggest that you use the link I have in the video description as well as in my pinned comment to subscribe to updates on Blood Message, like new details as they're released, new gameplay when it's launching, things like that. So use that link I have, check it out if it looks like your kind of thing, and a big thanks to 24 Entertainment for sponsoring today's video. Alright, I'm Alex, that's it for me, and maybe stick around on my channel if you want more gameplay breakdowns on Blood Message, perhaps closer to when it's launching. Okay, that's it, see ya.